What do you think happens after death? Write in the comments what you think about this. Enjoy the show. Story 1. The monarch butterfly has multi-generational migration where after anywhere from 3 to 5 generations they return to the same location to breed, often the same trees as their great-great-grandsires. This shows scientifically that some knowledge is preserved in some fashion after death. Story 2. Exactly how Casper explained it in the movie, like being born, but only backwards. Your consciousness will fade to black, but since you are dead, you will have no perception of it, since your brain no longer functions. This will be identical to your consciousness when you were an infant. There was no perceived concept of time and space before you had consciousness, and it will be exactly the same when you die. Story 3. There was an interesting case a few years ago when an old man died in the process of a brain scan and certain parts of his brain connected to memory lit up like a firework. So perhaps we really do see our lives flash before our eyes, but the actual experience is a mystery. Be nice if we can relive the whole thing again until we're properly ready to let go like Life on Mars style. Story 4. A few months ago I had some pretty intense death anxiety. Growing up, I've always been logical and based things on evidence. After looking into some near-death experience research, I am very hopeful that there is something after we die. People's accounts could wind up being false, but a lot of these experiences being so similar across different cultures has given me a warmth of comfort. I believe that when we die, our consciousness enters back into the stream, and we remember our past lives as well as our life as some kind of eternal energy, consciousness being. Then we get to choose our next form of life, all to help us grow ourselves. I believe that it is all about love at the end of the day. Story 5. It seems to me that after death, every person is reborn. I believe in reincarnation, and that everyone has an unlimited number of lives. Many who believe in rebirth say that a person has only 9 lives, and to find out what kind of life you are living now, you need to add up all the numbers of your date of birth. We will never know what will happen after death. This is a very interesting and at the same time disturbing topic, but I would like to hope that rebirth is endless. Story 6. Not religious, but I hope there's something more to our consciousness. I've always liked the idea that our brains are like radio receivers for consciousness. So instead of being the sole container for it, which would mean our consciousness exists somewhere else, like a higher physical dimension, something like that, or I hope reincarnation is a thing and I end up being born with an easier life, more attractive, more intelligent, and with wealthier parents. Story 7. I had a near-death experience and it was the most calming experience I've ever had. Not much happened in it, but I was definitely out of my body and in this completely white void that had no distinguishable features of a room, yet it still felt like a room. I still had a slight feeling of being me, but with very limited memories to recall back to. It was more so just being in the moment in there, and God, it was so calming and peaceful. Story 8. I believe once you're dead, you are dead. I also believe in the Bible's promise of a resurrection myself. If you read the entire Bible and look at what the promise was to the Jews, and later what Jesus actually spoke about, even leading into John's final visions in Revelation, we are supposed to die and sleep until we are awoken from our memorial tombs to life on earth everlasting. Paraphrased a lot as I'm not here to preach. As a side note, there's a number of certain ones that are to be resurrected to heavenly life, to rule alongside Christ. But the entire Bible does speak of life everlasting on earth as the original promise that was still to be fulfilled after the end of this current world system. I'm happy to share what I believe in private messages. Anyone is welcome to message me. But as for the original question, the above is what I believe. Story 9. I think the universe is too perfect, too mysterious, too precise, and with too much synchronicity for there to be nothing. Many people have had glimpses beyond the veil, including myself. That kind of thing stays with you for your whole life, and you can't really look at reality the same after that. I'm sure whatever it is won't be much like this existence, but I do believe it will be better. Story 10. I don't remember what story it was, but a lady who died for a little while explained it was like being in a room by herself, but you aren't a being. You're like an energy. She could see different views of her family and her past life, and she was there just alone observing with no thoughts or feelings other than silence and peace. She said it wasn't necessarily darkness, BC. There was no sense of light of dark, just there completely by herself. That concept scares me, TBH. Story 11. If the universe is infinite, then we have infinite possibilities. Maybe our energy is exteriorized and we become confused little ghosts reaching out to those we love most. Or we're reborn in another body to live again in a different form. Or maybe we really are just some God's manipulative little science experiment. The egg theory, Andy Weir, is also so interesting but feels like such a lonely concept. If I could choose, I'd prefer to just transmigrate into a cute little succulent. I always logic myself back into thinking nothing happens. I don't think we'll ever get to understand the weirdness and secrets of life. It's lights out. We will experience our existence in death the same way we did before we were born. There will be nothing, which is actually a little comforting, like the ultimate gift of peace. Story 12. There is a concept, are two concepts in Hinduism that I learned about, but I am just starting to learn more about it. So please chime in if you know better. They're called Atman and Brahman. From what I understand, Brahman is the amalgamation of energy in the universe. It is kind of how Christians think of God, in that it is everywhere, in everything, in everyone, all around us. But when it's in someone, it's called Atman. And when you die, that Atman goes back into the Brahman for its next turn in reincarnation. But also reincarnation is not linear. You could be your parent, friend, hell, even pet reincarnated while they are still alive. I don't think consciousness ever truly ends. I think as much as people say they don't want to come back to this earth and experience all of this gestures widely again, our higher selves/souls are probably taking the reins like, another one, let me go back. I want to see what happens and help it be better. I believe it's a possibility that the people we're closely connected with are trading pieces of our souls like trading cards just to experience different lives. That we are coming back over and over, improving ourselves, improving the world. Our souls are getting tired and humankind is creating a revolution that is, though maybe not quickly enough, unstoppably moving. Be kind to each other, we're all connected. But maybe still be mean to some of the assholes. Story 13. I believe in something, but I have no idea what the fuck it actually is. For context, I'm usually a very rational person who believes in hard evidence before believing something. Though Hume's problem of induction, as a side note, makes me doubt even the basis of our reasoning sometimes. Without boring you with context, I believe that I have directly communicated with my dead grandparents in dreams. These dreams don't feel like dreams. They are vivid and feel genuinely real. I've also had experiences of being completely alone in my flat, but feeling as if my shoulders are being rubbed in a very familiar and comforting way. I've also experienced a range of what I would consider to be paranormal experiences. I used to work in a nursing home, and the energy which forms in a room where there's a dead body is just surreal. There are many other experiences which I've had. I don't know what life after death looks like, but I do strongly believe in something. Story 14. I'm not religious. I think when people see a light or a being, it's their mind's way of comforting them in their final moments. The mind already autopilots so much that we don't enforce or realize. I think it has the power to create imagery for us to be at comfort. I would like to believe there really is something after death. But I think realistically, at least in my opinion, there isn't. I think my mind comforts itself with the belief it all starts over as in a sort of reincarnation, but the concept of forever doesn't seem possible to me. And if anything, it's a continuous loop. If there's anything after death, I think, like I said, it would be a sort of reincarnation or spirit like beings, sort of like angels that protect loved ones and watch over them. Story 15. When asked this question on a late-night talk show, our Lord and Savior, Keanu Reeves, answered in complete sincerity that, I know that those who love us will miss us. It is the only answer concerning what happens after death that is inarguably true. Every other theory or belief is either faith-dependent, myth, or superstition. So, though meaningful to those who subscribe to any particular belief, exclude other beliefs, of which there are many, and they all vary one from another. So in any universal sense, and in any objective sense, St. Keanu's statement is the truest. Story 16. Opinions about what happens after death vary greatly depending on cultural and personal beliefs. Some believe that we continue to exist in some spiritual or metaphysical form. Others believe in reincarnation or karma, where our soul is reborn into a new being. On the other hand, there is also a materialistic view that suggests that after death, our consciousness simply ceases to exist. Either way, this topic remains one of the most profound and mysterious to mankind. Story 17. Personally, I believe in reincarnation. Believing in reincarnation can offer a profound perspective on the continuity of life beyond death. The idea that our souls may undergo multiple lifetimes, each with its lessons and growth opportunities, can bring solace and a sense of purpose to many. It encourages us to consider the interconnectedness of all living beings and the possibility of evolving spiritually through each cycle of rebirth. My belief in reincarnation reflects a deep appreciation for the ongoing journey of the soul and the potential for growth and enlightenment across multiple lifetimes. Story 18. Well, every single white person who has a near-death experience either ends up describing a Christian afterlife or a super simplified version of a European pagan afterlife without realizing that that is what they are describing. Don't worry, we all come back / we have to live many lives to learn different lessons. But I still don't care about any of it. I have no reason to care to go on forever. I have no friends, very little family, and am not super sure how possible it is for my life to get any better than this. But I am tired. I don't want eternal afterlife, good or bad. There's not really anyone I want to reunite with. I don't want a reincarnation. I want to be done. Story 19. I passed out twice and woke up after the second time, out over a minute, and my husband said my eyes looked like I was dead, open and void. I wasn't breathing either. When I was out, I felt nothing. I didn't feel the pain or trauma going on in my body. It was just nothing and void. But I heard women's voices and children laughing. The women said she is a mother, and it was like I was sucked back into my body, and I began to feel all of the trauma that was happening to my body. My blood sugar was 42 when they got me to the hospital, and I was in some sort of comatose state, I believe. Who knows? It scared the hell out of me, but I was eerily at some sort of peace. I guess if there is nothing, then that's it. I fear missing out on my children's lives the most. I fear the impact of my leaving on them more than anything else. Story 20 logically is a word you will see a lot when people answer this question. I've asked this question all my life. While I can't directly recall my first question, I'd bet that it was this. Not a single day has passed that I haven't asked this question. Why does anything exist as opposed to nothing? Even in the Big Bang or the big inflation, all energy matter was condensed into a single point. Why did it exist at all? It could be the underlying physics of reality that create the circumstances that led to our current universe. Why does it have any properties with which to give rise to our universe? Even in the properties of the universe, we don't know why matter, antimatter pairs didn't simply annihilate immediately. The matter and antimatter in our universe arises from energy. The basic formula is E equals sine mc2. We all have an idea on what matter is, but what is energy? It's not light or heat or movement, but their energy can be calculated. Energy is just an abstract concept we measure and describe as the ability to do work. We measure time and know that it exists but isn't anywhere. It can't be touched or seen. We know that matter can be converted into the abstract concept of energy, but don't know why. We know that processes take time, but we can't even define time without using some kind of reference to time. Logically, we don't know why reality exists at all. We don't know with any certainty how life actually got going in the first place. We may understand many of the interactions of particles, but we don't understand how those interactions give rise to consciousness. If you lose your hands, are you still you? If you were to get a robotic heart, are you still you? Keep following that logic and you get the realization that you are not your body. Maybe what you consider to be you is just your brain, your mind, your thoughts. Now sit quietly and think of nothing. Soon you will realize that thoughts pop into your mind without prompting. Thoughts come to you without effort. You are not your thoughts. Maybe you are your emotions. Have you ever tried to stop being scared? Tried to stop being angry? You are not your emotions. Your emotions are something that happens to you. You are the abstract, intangible thing that experiences. Just like energy or time, consciousness is an abstract concept that exists and interacts with all the other abstract concepts of the universe. No logic has led to an answer, so we search. Story 21, I would say God in heaven. If you people knew how much Jesus Christ has affected me, how much of his word relates, actually fits how true it is. And even then in the Bible, they explain that for the people that believe they don't die, you keep living, you get recarbonated, and to heaven pretty much believe this way, I could say it, but for the non-believing people, you do die, which is what most of these comments are when people have near death and they say they see blackness and silence. Those are the people that never believe they truly die and stop existing. That's my general assumption that makes the most sense when I read it. The people that don't believe in God, whether they are good or bad, they don't go to hell. They just stop existing. They just go to black. But the people who believe that we're good people who stay true to the Lord and his teachings and truly are true to him, to his love and to his forgiveness, will live with him in heaven. Story 22, kind of an aside, but does anyone else hate that wedding vows include "till death do us part"? I hate it. I refuse to say it. I never want to part from the person or the ones I love, even if it means just returning to the mess of cells and space dust that make up all of us and everything. How about "till death do us return to whatever unexplainable thing comes next, and I'll find you there, as energy or cells or smoke or stars, or the same plane of nothing and everything." Story 23. Your spirit, the soul, is released into the universe and can interact with all the other spirits that have been released. You can use some of your energy to help anyone on earth, but can't completely deplete yourself, so it's a balance. I also think before your spirit is officially released, if you committed crimes or did evil things, etc., you will be educated. You will feel the pain and impact you had on those you hurt. When you learn, heal, and are ready, your spirit will be freed. My parents passed away years ago, but I feel their presence and they send me signs. Whenever a good thing happens, I'm convinced they had something to do with it. Story 24. I hope it's like anesthesia, just nothing. I have a feeling at least briefly that there's something more. Each time one of my parents died, I had very weird experiences after their deaths. I've had dreams of my dad that still feel real years after having them. I remember that last dream hug. After he died, a male cardinal appeared constantly. After my mom went, we got a female. We moved. I have another mated pair of cardinals. The female is so bold that she taps on my kitchen window when the seed is low or a squirrel is gorging itself. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'm grasping at straws. Or maybe some part of us remains. Story 25. You see your own death from the third-person point of view, and you can hear for a few seconds. Then you lose your hearing power, and you can only see from the third-person point of view. After that, you will lose this power, and you will be pulled into the ground. I also think that before you die, you review all the memories once in your mind. Based on my informations, after that, you will be in a dark room where someone will visit you and then he will leave. After that, there are two people who will torment you or give you good news based on your actions. After that, you will be freed to be held accountable. Story 26. I died and went to heaven. There was no good food and no one was interested in sex. All anyone did was go to Bible study 24/7 and pray. The evangelicals thought they were the only ones there, and God was as absent as he is here on earth. Everyone seemed like an ignoramus and appeared happy. I decided I wanted to live a long life and do some bad things so I never end up there again. I tried to say Jesus effing Christ, but the words came out as blessed be thy son. The only thing I can think of that would be worse is to be reincarnated and have to deal with all the BS again. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Be sure to write comments and share your stories.